Hey, family. Welcome back to the Sunny Side View, your favorite place for real talk, obviously. Real people and real inspiration. Again, Sunny B is back, and today's episode is one that you do not want to multitask through. Now, y'all know I'm saying this as a fellow multitasker, but I am joined by my good longtime friend. Like, we knew each other when we was only wearing skirts all the time, to the church picnic skirts, okay? This is Nicci Willis. She is a top-tier Las Vegas realtor, investor, author, and community queen who is balancing everything: business, beauty, bold faith, like only she can. She's the reigning Mrs. Silver State 2025, okay? Host of the YouTube hit New House on the Block and co-founder of Black Henderson, a nonprofit lifting commerce and community in Nevada. But today, we're diving into how she manages it all, from being a mom and a wife to building a whole empire without losing her mind or her joy. Nicci is going to school us today on how to find work-life balance that actually fits your life, because one size does not fit all. And y'all already know she's bringing that signature high energy and honesty that we love her for. So go ahead and get your notebook so we can just talk through this, let this one speak to your soul, and let's get into it. Nicci, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Sunny. I'm so excited. This is so cool. And yeah, it's been a long time. We were children wearing those long hot skirts. Boy, we
Playing softball.
we got those Johnny ball, softball, ridiculous.
We came up a different way. I'm just so happy to see you. You and your family have always been just amazing. We could talk all day about it, but I'm just so glad that you're here. And I want you to help us. I love interviewing people who are going to help the people. And you made a post the other day on social media where you talked about work-life balance, and it really resonated with me. I inboxed you ASAP, like, girl, we got to talk about this. The truth is that we are in an era of multitasking. We're in an era where people are just running. I lived in New York City for a number of years, and I used to call that the rat race sometimes, like just how people were always going. But now I live in the South, and it's the same thing. People are still going. Like it's not down to one region. I think like we used to stereotypically think. You have worn so many hats: leader, entrepreneur, family woman. What does work-life balance really mean to you in this season of life?
Sure. So yeah, when the reel that you saw when you contacted me was from a panel discussion that I was on about a month ago. And somebody asked, how do you manage all the things? How do you do all the things? How do you achieve work-life balance? And, over time, my thought process and my beliefs have shifted. And I just flat out said, I don't believe in work-life balance. I really don't. And in the reel, everybody kind of looked at me kind of strange. And I said, I see what you're giving me at the moment. But I said, let me explain. And so, what I explained was that I'm not going to be able to give 100% to anything.
Yeah.
Way too many things that are going on in my life. And so what I desire to be and what I strive to do is just to be present. And it also means that there are a lot more things that I'm saying no to.
Yeah. Like that tea and the key.
Listen, yes, there are a lot more things that I'm saying no to because, you hit it on the head. Here in Las Vegas, we're ripping and running. We come from Ohio, and it was the thing. Start moving down to be a little bit more slow paced. And
yeah,
what I have noticed is, especially in Western society, that grind and that hustle culture and that 24/7 no sleep, all the things, and that self-care is a privilege, if you will. It's totally backwards and is against what my Bible tells me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, God worked on the earth. He created the earth. He created the animals and all the creatures and man. And then on the seventh day, he rested.
Yeah, yeah.
So who am I to say, oh, I'm going to be running 7 days a week if
Yeah.
I'm trying to God? That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
So my desire was, or it continues to be, is to be present. And so what that means for me is, when I do have my self-care, I'm not working on other things.
Yeah.
Reading. I know you and I are avid readers. I follow you on Goodreads. So sometimes I get some of my book out. Okay. But I'm reading. Or when my husband and I have a date night, we have a date night tonight. I'm not working. I'm not.
Yeah.
And then same with my children. When it's time to spend time with my children, I'm there. I'm present, and that didn't always happen.
Yeah.
So, and that's because that multitasking, doing 3 different things has become almost like it's become the culture.
Yeah, it's the norm. It's the norm. And we look at people strange. We look at people strange when they say no. We look at people very strange. I love what you just mentioned where you talked about even for your relationship and for yourself. One of the things I started doing, especially as I started, kind of mapping out what I wanted the rest of my life to be, my husband and I, we take turns where like I go on Wednesdays after work, after I come from the school, I go to a pizza shop and I sit there for 2 hours by myself. Every Wednesday, I bring my computer. Sometimes I'm working. Sometimes I'm watching just it's like a sports. They have like a sports, that's on the TV, all the games are like on. So sometimes I'm just kind of watching that. Sometimes I have a book and I'm reading. They all know. They'll just come bring my stuff. I don't even have to order at this point. They're like, oh, what's your sweet tea? Okay, here we go. They just come to get it. And that's just my time in the middle of the week to just be like, just desensitize, decompress. It's just that time where nobody's calling me. I don't have to be a mom at that moment. I don't have to be a wife. I don't have to be a teacher. I am just me, and I just get to be. And that was actually something hard for my husband to start doing for himself. He just couldn't, he's from the South. He was raised in a very strong family, and that's how they're taught. Like the men just go, 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 go. And, I was the first person, he and I got together. He tells everybody, that's the first time I started going on vacation. Like my wife just was like, what you mean we working all the time? Like,
Yeah.
And so I think that, we start to also show our children and our community that rest is resistance. I don't know if you have read that book, but there's a book called Rest is Resistance. And
I've heard
oh my goodness, she talks about it and she literally just confronts you where she's like, why do you have to work 7 days a week? Right. What is those extra dollars? What is that going to do if you land in the hospital? It's going to cost you more to do that. So I love how you can share that. Let me ask you this, because we like to be real.
Mm-hmm.
Is it 2 things? Number one, I feel like for me, growing up in a traditional Pentecostal family, we weren't necessarily, again, my parents did the best with what they knew. And my mom and I, we talk about this all the time. But we weren't taught any different. Like we were like, my parents went to work Monday through Friday. And they also were in church all day Sunday evening, Monday for rehearsal, Wednesday for Bible study, and choir rehearsal and dance rehearsal and everything on Saturday. And some of that is just historical from enslavement, being that those were the only days we were off. So those were the only days we could intermingle in that sense.
Yeah.
But do you feel like that has been something you've had to adjust as you're talking to your own family? Just the way that we were raised. We only did what we knew to do. And now it's like, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's so funny. My mom and I had that same conversation. I said, Mom, when I was a child, because my mom got her doctorate degree He graduated. I was a junior in high school, and she graduated with her doctorate.
Wow.
I was working full time, going full time. She was the children's church leader.
Yeah, she was
leading the children's choir as well, and a wife and a mom. And I
said every
yes, and I remember her, scrubbing down baseboards, and I was like, like, did you ever, she was just like, that was just what was expected of me. She was like, my grandmother did it, and I realized, just like that book that you mentioned, Restless Resistance. I read half of that, by the way. I remember it. But I realized that you're absolutely right. That mentality, that thought process gets passed down. And especially, and this is especially for Black women, relied on so much, so heavily, not just within our household, but in the church, community, and everything else. It becomes, at the end of the day, it just becomes so overwhelming. And I told him, I said, you wiping down baseboards and, still doing your doctorate degree and working, teaching time. I'm like, how did you do it? And she was just like, I almost killed myself. Like, I almost ended up in the hospital because it was, she was overwhelmed. That was like, she was like, oh yeah, I could have ended up in the hospital. She was like, I really don't know how I did it. It was just expected of me.
Yeah.
Wow. Like that was, and she was like, and her thing was, don't be like me.
Yeah.
Don't
shout out to her. Shout out to her. My oldest daughter said something to me, where she was like, Mom, I'm not like you. And she said it just like that. She was like, I'm not like you. And I explained to her, I was like, well, that's good. You don't have to be. I got married very young. I got divorced very young. And I had to depend on myself. So I had an unhealthy work-life balance for 10 years while I raised you all and made sure y'all were, you don't have to be like, you don't have that. I said, you don't have no kids. You're not married to nobody. Go and live your life, baby. Get them grades, do what you do. Go take a semester abroad, whatever you have to do, go and do it. And I think, like your mom said, we have to also be comfortable to encourage the next generation to do it differently. Like, be well. Don't do what we did.
Your physical health, your mental health, it means so much. I was watching, it was some kind of clip that came up. I can't even remember who said it. So shout out to the person who said it. I just can't remember who you are at the moment. But it was talking about, how we pour out to so many people. And we are supposed to be filled, and we are supposed to pour out from our overflow.
Yeah.
So many of us are at 6%, 70%, and we're still pouring. You don't have anything left.
You don't have anything left.
You don't have, and people are, they have hypertension.
Yep.
Blood all crazy, cholesterol, everybody's stressed out and all the things. And I choose to be unapologetic about it because I want to see my grandchildren. I want to see my kids get.
Yeah.
I want to have a great quality of life and to do for the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
And there's things I'm just I'm going to say no to.
Yeah.
And have people get attitudes with me thinking, I'm being funny and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's wrong, and that's okay. And I want my children to know that too, that it's okay to say no and to not do all the things.
And it's okay to say no and that be a complete sentence. I don't have to explain to you why I'm not coming.
That's right.
I'm just I tell my staff, like when I worked at the Y, I would tell my staff all the time, you don't have to explain to me why you don't want to work this shift. If I ask you to work the morning shift, you can say, no, thank you. And that's it. You don't have to give me excuses. You don't have to lie to me. You don't have
Right.
it's okay. Just say
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
That's it.
That people are guilted into feeling like they have
That's it.
to, yes.
That's
You know,
it.
I watched something else that had popped up, and it was meant to be funny, but it proved a point. Where the boss calls her employee and says, "Hey," for hours, and says, "Hey, I need you to do these things. Check your email. I need you to send these things." Next day, the employee sends a bill for overtime. Yeah, you making for 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
This was the scope of the 40 hours.
Absolutely.
I bill. And the lady says, "Wait, hold on. Why,
Yeah.
why would you do that? Like what?" And she said, "Well, why would you call me outside of those hours?"
Yeah.
Setting boundaries,
Yeah.
setting boundaries. And so many people, I had to go through it. I felt guilty that setting until I'm so stressed out. I'm getting headaches and all.
Yeah.
I can't do, the things that God has placed within me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
adding up.
Yeah. 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 I think it was you and I were talking about how much I love the West Coast. Shout out to Oakland, home of the Black Panther Party. But I remember, and I'm not sure if it's still like this because I don't live in California. But I remember if you called someone in California after they'd already clocked out, you had to pay for like an hour of their time, even if they answered the phone for 5 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. They stopped because it was so much of people working outside of their allotted time. And people don't know how to work within boundaries until you teach them. And until you teach them that, hey, I'm okay with saying no, and that's it. I'm okay with saying I'm on vacation. Do not call me. I'm okay with doing that. But because we have for so long gone without saying anything, that work-life balance it is inexistent. Your time is not your own. And I think that's one thing I learned probably when I turned 40, Nicci. I felt like I don't if you've not turned 40 yet, I'm telling you,
That pretty left.
okay. When you start, but like when you turn 40, any listener, just so you know, when you turn 40, it felt like something like flicked on within me.
Yeah.
And it was all of a sudden like, I don't want to do that. And that was it. I didn't.
You are absolutely right. Because I was like, when I turned 40, I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, I don't know who I am. I like what I like, what I don't like, and there is, and I know how to set boundaries now. So
yeah,
it was like a lot of that stuff got cut out, and I'm not feeling guilty of it.
And I stopped saying it nicely too. Like I was also not gonna tap dance around it. And so it's interesting now, because what I realized was that time was more valuable than money to me. And so as I started kind of processing through things, it was time with my children is more valuable than me doing this other thing that's going to make money even for them. Like they need these memories of us. They need this time of us. Last summer, instead of working all summer, I took the kids and we went to Ohio to stay with my dad. As we were talking earlier, my dad hasn't been well for a couple of years. And so we stayed with them. My kids loved hanging out with Poppy all summer long. They got on his nerves. He was laughing. My mama enjoyed it. Like it was just, we were stacked on top of each other at her house, like all summer long. But the memories, my kids will always remember that time. And it was good for my parents as well. So, some of that, and it's kind of going to lead into this next question. I only have 2 more questions for you. But, what tools or traditions or boundaries do you swear by to keep both you and your professional and your personal life really flowing in a way that you can operate seamlessly?
Yeah. That's such a great question. So number one, and my team knows this as well. If it's not in my calendar, it does not exist. I don't care what it is. my family knows that as well. So I've even, I've taught my son, my youngest, he's 14 now. If it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist. So you got something after school that you need me to pick you up for and all the things, it better be in my calendar. And that also helps him, to help manage his time. But that is definitely number one, the thing I swear by. The other thing is, number two is, being in real estate, people think that they can call you at any time, or, send you, oh, well, you think about this, or, I have a question about this. Yeah, I'm not going to answer that. If it is after 7:00, you will get a response at 9 a.m.
Wow.
For my business hours. And I've really been a lot more diligent about that because, I'll get a text message at 3:00 in the morning. Somebody's up looking at houses that they want, that they potentially want to buy.
Wow.
Ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, I'm happy for you.
I'm happy for it.
You will receive an answer at 9 a.m. And I am a stickler for that. I am a stickler for that. The other thing that is, when I'm on vacation, I'm on vacation.
That's good.
I stopped bringing my laptop on vacation because what do? I'll have the tendency to be on it.
I gotta do that. I gotta not bring my laptop. I feel redeemed.
Now my husband, he's not that good at it, but I'm like, nope, I'm not. Nope.
Oh man,
I'm not doing it. So yeah, just some of those things, and helping, and like you said, setting those boundaries. When you set boundaries, you teach people how to treat you.
Yeah.
You're not mad if I'm not responding to you at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
What hours are. And
yeah.
You.
I love that. I love that. Okay, last question.
Yeah.
Especially for women, listening, who maybe feel overwhelmed or stretched thin. What's the first small step they can take toward reclaiming their balance? I know you talked about keeping a calendar. I ascribe to that too. But what's a small step? What can I do if I just feel like I'm always being pulled this way, that way, everywhere? What's a small step that I can take?
I would say the first thing is to forgive yourself. Because you can feel guilty about not saying yes to so many things, and then you can feel guilty towards yourself about saying yes to so many things. I am this year's old, and I still am running and getting pulled this way and that, and I don't have any time for myself. So forgive yourself first, and then give yourself grace. And just listen, if you still breathing, there's still time to make adjustments. And then set boundaries. Begin to set boundaries. Set small ones. Like you have to, cut people off and all the things, but set a specific hours that you are going to work. Because guess what? It's gonna be there the next day if you don't get it done. It's time. You need a rest. I get up at a certain time in the morning. If I happen to oversleep, I guess my body needed it. And I don't oversleep. My body needed the rest. I'd rather wake up and be refreshed than get up and, oh my gosh, I'm running late and da-da-da-da-da. My whole day is all over the place.
Yeah.
The rest. All right. Now I feel refreshed. Let's keep moving. So just those little things, and that will help, especially us as women. We are asked to carry so much. Forgive yourself for saying yes to so many things, and then give yourself grace. Set those boundaries, and just keep.
I love that. Now, something that you just said made me think of one of my students. I think that when we talk about rest and when we talk about being in control of your own body and your own decisions, sometimes we forget about kids and young people. And I don't know about you, but I know one thing that I've done differently with my children was trying to ensure that they knew they had some control over that rest, over their bodies, over their time. And so one of my students, came into class just huffing and fussing. Another teacher that they had just come from came in and said, hey, so-and-so is having a hard day today. And, I just wanted to let you know. And, this student is stomping around. And so I said, hey, y'all know we don't do that in here. What's really going on? You all right? And the student was like, ain't nothing wrong. I said, okay. I said, are you tired? Do you want to sit down on the couch and take a nap? Now, this is a middle schooler. This is not elementary, Yeah. And the student looked at me and said, please. And I said, okay, go over there. Sat on the couch, went to sleep for 2 hours. I told their next teacher, I said, hey, I think so-and-so is just really tired. I'm not sure what went on yesterday, but they were having a hard day. They're resting in my class. I just want to let you know. And when they got up, I had to get them up. I was like, hey, it's been 2 hours. You all right? And they just got up and they were like, thank you. I didn't get sleep. It was too much going on at home. And so as you talk today just about how it helps us be better as adults, I even think about some of our children, how we don't think about how their balance is. They're going to school, which is equivalent to going to work. Right. A lot of times we have them at after school adventures, which can be sports or whatever, which is like going to a part-time job after you've been at your full-time job. And we have then they have homework that they have, are doing till 9 and 10 o'clock at night. And then they got to get up the next day and start it all over. Can you imagine if we worked all day till 9 o'clock from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. and then we got an attitude too. That's right. And we're expecting their young bodies to be like, okay, whatever. What would you say, to families that are starting to think about, because I know you have your family as well, what would you say to families that are starting to think about that? And I know, how old is your youngest baby?
He's 14. My oldest, 22. Yeah, it'll get ready to turn 21. You know what? I don't think, I want to say it's about 3 years ago, I implemented a rule for school season. I said, every quarter, you get a personal day. Every quarter. So, and you can take this personal day, no questions.
So good.
It doesn't include sick day. Like if you sick, that's something else. If you need a day.
That's so good.
And my daughter, she took hers because she was I think she was a senior in high school when I implemented her. She was struggling. She was tired.
Yeah.
And one of the most damaging things, I think, in elementary school was that perfect attendance award.
Oh my goodness. I'm glad you brought it up.
Like, what? So you got rewarded for coming to school, whether you were sick, tired, something happened at home, and you came to school in spite of, you probably shouldn't have been. You know what I'm saying? You probably should have just rested that day. And so I hate the perfect attendance award. I hated it. I really almost had it, and I missed one day, and that would just really that pissed me off. I had worked so hard. I was sick for one day, and I did not get the award. I was like, you know what, I'm going. But as an adult, I realized like that's dumb. We have sick days, at work.
Yes.
Why are we, and that is already instilling something that's unhealthy for our children to strive. See, crazy work. And so I just instilled that. My son loves it. He actually just took his last of the year. Okay, you only get 4, and you get 1 a quarter, so you don't stack. Okay,
yeah.
Took his last for the year last week, and no questions asked.
Yeah,
he'll call me. He'll call me from his room. Mom, I'm going to take my day today. Okay,
I love that.
And it allows him to breathe. I don't really ask him to do, anything.
Yeah.
I'll tell him like to read or get outside. Go play.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Go touch grass.
Yeah.
But I have seen how just them taking that one little day, it allows them that autonomy because he gets to pick. Mommy doesn't, I don't say, are you sure you did? This is your day. You know what you have to do when you get back.
Yeah. Yeah.
The assignments and all the things, but this is your day. So he's able to pick and choose, is this a day where I really need it?
Yeah.
Or can I tough it out? Am I doing okay?
Yeah.
And that has helped tremendously. So something for parents.
Oh, I love that. I'm convinced that the perfect attendance award is how COVID got around so fast. Because people we were so used to sending our kids to school sick.
You are like
Going to work. We were used to going to work sick. And now, even now, like my kids' school now, they give you 4 or 5 asynchronous days that you can just take. So you can say, hey, so and so, they're gonna take a moment, they're gonna do some work at home, but heads up. But it was in response to people realizing, COVID taught them, like, if you got a sniffle, stay home. Do not come to work.
Yeah.
I mean, and I would say what they're taking there. Okay. Like, I was here with them taking that.
Yeah. If something happens to you, they'll give it a week.
And listen, and that's how we'll end this. That is probably one of the best lessons I learned. One of my good friends, Shiana Morton, she said many years ago when I was working in New York City, he said, they'll replace you tomorrow. He said, do not worry. She said, you have to do what's best for you, because at the end of the day, they will replace you tomorrow, and never think twice about it. So thank you for sharing all of those things. I think, listen, if the fantasy of work-life balance, which Nicci let us know is a fallacy, she's not believing this. I hope this episode with Nicci has reminded you that it is possible to lead, to love, and live fully when you set the pace that honors your purpose. From the boardroom to the worship mic, from hours, from home tours to family movie nights, Nicci shows us that success doesn't have to come at the cost of self. And I'm so glad that you've been able to teach us that today. How can the people get in touch with you in case they need to? Maybe somebody in Nevada and they want a house. They need to call the top tier realtor. Like, what did you need? Tell us.
Let's see. So I'm always on Instagram. So you can follow me on Instagram at Nicci Willis, and that's NICCIWILLIS. I'm in a yellow dress. You can't miss me. And then for real estate, you can go to the Willis Team LV.com. That's our real estate website. I also have a book that I have written for first-time home buyers. It's called Before You Buy, Read This. So that is on sale for purchase. I wrote a cookbook that's on that website as well.
Wait, y'all, this is on the
website.
The LV. What? Oh, I got it.
Yeah,
I got it. But I want mine signed. I need to send you the money directly because I need mine signed to me and then sent. Okay. So I don't like to get no random ones. I want my name in it.
Yeah, that was definitely.
And then you have a YouTube as well, I think so, right? You have a YouTube.
You can just follow the Willis Team LB on YouTube. And I've started, we just finished up the podcast, Home with the Willises. And now I've started a series called New House on the Block. And I'm touring with people, with you guys watching. And it's a lot of fun. So, yeah.
I love that. Nicci, you are literally proof that you can do big things and still rest. I love everything about you. And I hope you'll be able to take a good nap later on. Listen, if today's conversation has sparked something in you, share this episode, tag us online, leave a review to keep this good spirit flowing. can find Nicci, as she said, on YouTube, Instagram, and then, of course, her work with Black Henderson. Just don't be surprised if she's also emceeing the next big event in Vegas. You never know. This is the Sunny Side View, and I'm your host, Sunny B, reminding you to walk in purpose, protect your peace, and always keep it sunny. See you next time, and have a great